So going on to another comic review, this is Magneto Was Right. Or technically Magneto Was Right. Honestly, Magneto Was Right was probably the best title, but I get it. So, this is written by J.M. DeMatteis, or DeMatteis. I've heard pronunciation done both ways. If I ever see him at a convention, I'll ask, is it DeMatteis or DeMatteis or whatever? Like, how do you pronounce your last name? That's a question that would be interesting to have. Anyway, so this comic is part of those Lost Tales comics that Marvel's been doing, basically to get at the nostalgia factor. They've been doing this for a while now, since Peter David's Symbiote Spider-Man a few years ago, to hype up Mysterio, because there weren't a lot of good Mysterio comics. So they're like, hey, do a story involving, like, we want to also hype up Venom too, but we don't want to use a Venom book, so how about you do a Symbiote Spider-Man story and set it as a Lost Tale, and then it sold really well, we got where we are now. And I really like them. I really like these Lost Tales stories. Getting old writers back on to do these, basically, comics that are these harmless, like, stories you didn't see in the past. And this is one of them, being done with Magneto during his time as leader of the X-Men, and essentially the leader well, more importantly, leader of the New Mutants and their teacher, and after Charles's death. So, yeah. So this is, what's interesting is that this is a 4-issue miniseries, when normally these Lost Tales miniseries go on for like 5 issues. That's kind of the thing that I found fascinating, that it isn't as long as the other minis that are done by this in this series, or rather this genre format. I don't know what to call these, but the point being is that it's a little shorter, but it still feels well paced. Essentially, the story is set in the early days of Magneto leading the New Mutant, being the teacher to the New Mutants, and he's wearing the stupid... I hate this costume. This stupid, like, purple costume with the M, a very long M on it, and it's like a... I hate it. I hate that costume. I genuinely hate... It's one of the... It's actually the only thing that I don't like about the X-Men '97 cartoon, is that they have Magneto. Oh yeah, and the Rogue Magneto thing. I don't like that either. But I hate that they use that stupid redeemed costume. So getting back on topic, as I was saying, this is set during the time when Magneto is like, Eric is trying to, like, accommodate himself into being the headmaster and leader of the New Mutants. And he's also kind of gripping with a lot. He's gripping with a lot of, like, self-doubt, that even his students are like, yeah, you were a villain too, like, what's up with that? And he's trying to bury that all down. In fact, I love... There's a great callback to when he's thinking back the first time he battled the X-Men in X-Men #1, and he was like, I put on a ridiculous costume, called myself Magneto to be all theatrical, and then the X-Men showed up, we did battle, and in my head I'm thinking, as I'm saying these stupid lines out, oh, it's a great moment where Eric's, like, thinking back on X-Men, on the events of X-Men #1, and he's just like, what the fuck was I thinking with those lines? But yeah. So, it eventually leads to him, while he's burying all this down and dealing with past trauma, he encounters a young female mutant named Ira. And Ira's whole thing is that she can manipulate anger and turn it into energy and fire it back at you. She also has her own sisterhood of evil mutants, and their whole thing is they want to re-corrupt Magneto and bring him back to the way he was. Whereas Eric's battling with his own trauma and self-doubt along the way. And that's what this comic is. It hasn't really done anything with Magneto that we haven't seen already. But it's fun territory because it also talks about, like, Magneto's like, thinking about the his time in Auschwitz. It deals with Ira, who has a pretty fascinating connection to the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil and her story as well, and how that connects into that. DeMatteis does know how to connect the dots with classic X-Men and putting it in the Claremont run. The artwork is very reminiscent of like classic X-Men, as you can see. Again, I don't like when books have to do this. Ugh, hate it. And the story does end on a very hopeful note, but at the same time, Magneto's just like, yeah, I don't even know if I can trust myself at this point. And it's a storyline we've seen before, especially in recent comics with the resurrection of Magneto by Al Ewing, which I'd like to read. It's probably what I'm told is one of the best resurrection comics in a while. So I'd like to check that out. But again, it's retreaded ground, but it's always ground I like to see, especially since we never got to see like the New Mutants ever call out, at least a lot of the New Mutant books during the Claremont run, be like, yeah, you used to be a villain, Magneto. What gives you the right to like shit on us or anything like that? So it's a lot of learning curve in here for Magneto and the New Mutants. So do I recommend this? Yeah, it's a pretty harmless book. If you loved the Chris Claremont era of New Mutants and like love Magneto as a character, yeah, Magneto Was Right is a pretty all-right book. And all-right in the sense that, yeah, it was pretty fun. But anyway, so there you go, guys. That's my review of Magneto Was Right. You guys let me know in the comments below what you guys think of it. If you've read it, comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.